that like kind of the dust is settled of all of off season, do you think we've closed the gap enough as far as like the talent gap in the AFC West? Or you still think we're a couple years away, a couple drafts away?
We can definitely beat the Chiefs. And if there's one thing that I think the AFC West is trying to do, and I definitely think that the NFL is a copycat league. I say it all the time. And if I was the Raiders, I would look at what the Philadelphia Eagles just did, and I'd be like, all right, I'm going to try to replicate that. And then also, if I'm John Spytek and Tom Brady, I'm going to look at what, they did to beat Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, because I would look at every game in the regular season, throw it out the window. It doesn't matter. If you can't beat the Chiefs in the biggest game of the year, it doesn't matter. But Spytek, I think, has a blueprint of what he thinks is going to require to do that. And I think Philadelphia thinks that, they have a blueprint in order to do it. And I think that's what the Raiders tried to do this season. But it's not only the Raiders. I think that's what the Broncos have done. Build a great offensive line, try to get a running back, and just have a great defense. Look where the Chargers did. They went out, get Omari and Hampton, hire a guy like Harbaugh, great offensive line, run the football. And I think the Raiders are trying to do a similar thing with Genty, slow the game down. I know people think Chip Kelly is speed, and that's what he did at Oregon. But when you go look at his pace of play last season at Ohio State, he was actually one of the slowest paced coaches in terms of plays ran. Now, he also knew that he had the most talented offense, I think, in the country. And, hit a home run at any given moment. Right. I mean, it's just the truth. And, Geno Smith's cousin's the best receiver in the country, and he's not even eligible to be drafted. But, I do think Chip and what this Raiders team is going to try to do, and it's what the Chargers and Broncos are going to do, they're going to try to slow it down on offense, rely on a great defensive line to get after Mahomes, and that's how they're going to try to win. And that's what I think that this team's going to try to do, because instead of trying to find a quarterback you want to go bang for bang with Mahomes, that's like trying to draft a three-point shooter to go shot for shot with Curry. Right. You're not going to win. So how do you win? You got to do something different. You got to be able to get after him, run the football. And I think, honestly, all three AFC West teams are trying to do that right now.
Yeah, for sure. And I think our recipe, at least when we gave the Chiefs the biggest issue, was, getting after them, with the four guys. And I think, people don't realize how not having Malcolm Kuntz last year was such a huge deal, because everybody was talking about how he was going to have a big year. I mean, hearing it from AP, hearing it from Marvin Lewis. Rob Ryan was talking about him. So he had a strong camp. And I was really looking for him to kind of put it together, and it was sucked, a couple of days before the season started, gets hurt. But I think having him back is going to be significant. So I'm so excited to see what this front four can do. Because that's what that's how you beat Mahomes, not necessarily blitzing them, but getting those four guys after him and then getting in coverage. So
it's a deep rotation, yeah. And I think the Raiders this year, again, they proved to me in the draft that, hey, everybody we're drafting this year is going to make sure that Ashton Genty is going to be the rookie of the year. And I think they kind of did that on the defensive line as well, where they were like, you know what? We're going to do everything in our power to make sure Max Crosby is the defensive player of the year, because re-signing Adam Butler makes Max better. Having Christian Wilkins on the interior makes Max better. Malcolm Kuntz, I don't care what anyone says about Tyree Wilson. I think he's going to really surprise some people this season. But that guy, he's going to help out, Max. But then, J.J. Pegues, Tonka Hemingway, extra depth there on the defensive line. The Raiders' offensive line, Caleb Rogers, Charles Grant, they have, I would say, 8 legit depth guys. And then the draft, they go out and they get Genty. You draft a hell of a blocking wide receiver, tight end type of tough mother effer in Jack Besh. You're going to extremely athletic corner in Darian Porter. But then, you also get a deep threat in Dante Thornton Jr. And the only 3 wide receivers in NFL combine history that are 6'4" taller, that ran a 4.3, 5.40 is Calvin Johnson, DK Metcalf, and Dante Thornton Jr. Let's go. Let's go. Tough. And I think when you just see everything they're doing, the picture to me is becoming clearer and clearer and clearer. And that's what I respect about this organization a lot more, because to me, they have a plan. They're executing it, and I like where we're at. We got to go extend Miller and Jacoby Myers. I hope that we do those 2 things before May 19th.
Yeah, for sure.
We be them Raiders.